I received this email from a man named Johnny Lozano, and I want to share it with you all today. He writes, I rarely reach out to nerd out on companies, but your ready-to-eat chilies and stews have been a lifesaver. My wife and I were already vegan, and I tend to cook most of our meals from scratch, but we just had our first child in January, which has made that impossible most nights. Further, my work has exploded this year with a 70 to 80-hour work week now being typical. And then to top it off, we've had to cut out soy and gluten because of our daughter's allergies. Your chilies and stews have saved us from having to resort to highly artificial, sodium-laden frozen meals. So, thank you for making something that helps us stay on track with a busy schedule, a new infant, and allergies notwithstanding. Johnny Lozano. First off, huge congratulations, Johnny, on becoming a parent. It is a challenge in its own right, and I hope that you and your wife are enjoying every little milestone with your little one. It goes by so incredibly fast, so hang on. And congratulations on choosing the PLANTSTRONG path. What a foundation you are setting up for your little one. I am thrilled that our meal solutions are helping to make it simple and easy for your family to stay on track. I want you all to know that we have more ready-to-eat chilies and stews in the pipeline, and I invite you and everyone to view our growing assortment at plantstrongfoods.com. If you have feedback or want to share how the PLANTSTRONG food line is helping you reach your goals, I would love to hear from you. Send us an email to hello@plantstrong.com.
So we have 6 official pillars of lifestyle medicine from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. The first is nutrition, and we do advocate for a plant strong, as you like to call it, plant slant way of eating, really advocating for whole food, plant-based. It's evidence-based as the best diet pattern to prevent and possibly reverse chronic diseases.
I'm Rip Esselstyn, and welcome to the PLANTSTRONG podcast. The mission at PLANTSTRONG is to further the advancement of all things within the plant-based movement. We advocate for the scientifically proven benefits of plant-based living and envision a world that universally understands, promotes, and prescribes plants as a solution to empowering your health, enhancing your performance, restoring the environment, and becoming better guardians to the animals we share this planet with. We welcome you wherever you are on your PLANTSTRONG journey, and I hope that you enjoy the show. Hello, my PLANTSTRONG brothers and sisters. My guest today is Dr. Melissa Sundermann, an internal medicine physician in Ann Arbor, Michigan, who is also recently board certified in lifestyle medicine. After practicing medicine for several years and raising 2 children who were officially headed off to college, Melissa decided that it was time to get back to herself and expand her own knowledge and scope of practice. While she absolutely loves being a doctor, she didn't love the revolving door aspect of the system, the quick appointments, multiple patients, prescription-based treatment, etc. It just wasn't fulfilling. So Melissa did what we all do when we're searching for an answer. She went to Mr. Google and started searching different types of medicine and came across lifestyle medicine. Very peculiar. She knew instantly that she had found her calling, which is helping people treat and prevent diseases through the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. They are movement, restorative sleep, stress management, avoidance of risky behaviors, positive social connections, and of course, a whole food, plant predominant diet. Today, in our conversation, she shares some of the advice and resources that she gives her patients who come in for lifestyle consultations and the impressive impact she is able to make in her patients' lives. We also talk in depth about the benefits of a whole food plant-based diet and the pillars of lifestyle medicine, specifically for women in perimenopause and menopause, and how she puts these pillars into practice in her own life. Dr. Sundermann is a bright light for the future of medicine, and I am thrilled for you to meet her. Please welcome Dr. Melissa Sundermann. Sundermann, that's a fun last name. Sundermann.
Yeah, it gets confused with Thunderman and a lot of different ways to pronounce it, apparently.
Yeah, but welcome. So tell me, where are you located right now?
So I am located in Ann Arbor, Michigan, home of University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I've been there since I went to undergrad there and went to medical school at Michigan State. So I was gone for a couple of years to East Lansing area, but settled back down in Ann Arbor. That's where my husband is from. He's a true townie. And then we raised our kids here. And now we've got a daughter, a junior at University of Michigan, and a son who's a senior at Michigan State. So wow. Big Ten sports, and we're a house divided.
Go blue.
Go blue, for sure.
So when you say you're a house divided, what exactly does that mean? In what way?
Well, I guess a couple. So that's the big thing in Michigan when you've got the rivalry of Michigan State and University of Michigan. So my daughter is actually an athlete at the University of Michigan. She is on the women's swim and dive team. She's a diver. I know you were a swimmer. And then my son at Michigan State. So and of course, you're wherever you go to undergrad, you cheer for. So I'm still a Wolverine, but I do support my son too. And I went to medical school there, so I do have some green blood in me. And I guess the other way we're divided is 3/4 of our family are plant-based, including our athlete daughter. And then our son, we're slowly transitioning that way. So we're not a house divided, we're a house transitioning.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Well, my brother and my sister both went to University of Michigan, and swam there. So I got the opportunity to go visit University of Michigan, and it's a great place, great school. Yeah, Ann Arbor is a fun town.
It is. We love it.
It really is. So tell me this. So you went to medical school there. Why did you decide to get into medicine?
So that is a good question, because I didn't come from anyone in my family who was in medicine. I mean, we're talking like not even a nurse. So it is something that I just got interested in when I was little. I just remember visiting a relative at a hospital. Probably I was like 7 or 8 years old, and just having this curiosity of what was going on at this hospital. And I just wanted to explore, and I wasn't scared of it. I just wanted to learn more, and was just really fascinated by it, and medicine, and helping people and healing people and being around just the medical world. So that started at a very early age. And again, I didn't have any mentors to ask, family members about their experience, and just sort of did research on my own. And during high school, volunteered at a hospital, and just sort of had this calling, I'd say, of I want to be a doctor. Like, I just want to be a doctor. And of course, it's an arduous process to get there. And, I went to the University of Michigan undergraduate, and it was pre-med. And I also did research at that time. So I worked in a lab doing research all during undergrad, just to get money and quite frankly, get money, and then get some experience. And I actually took 2 years off in between undergrad and medical school, because I thought, well, I've been working at this lab. I'm going to work for them full time, see what that's about. And I really found out that I'm a people person, and I just wanted to interact with people rather than, and we need research, and we need great researchers. But for me, I needed that connection. So I applied to medical school, and the first time I didn't get in, but yet I was like, this is my calling. I'm not giving up on this dream. So I worked my butt off, retook the MCATs, just went and interviewed to, everywhere that I could get into, and just conveyed to them, like, this is my dream, and I know I'm going to be a good doctor. So please consider me for admission. And I got into Michigan State, which was a perfect school for me. They really are focused on primary care, which is, I'm an internal medicine specialist, also lifestyle medicine now, but really the roots of my training are primary care. So I wasn't about to say no to a dream. And sometimes that's what you have to do, is just say, I really want this, and it's worth fighting for.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I find typically when you don't get what you want the first time, it really makes you kind of, reevaluate it, but then also decide, no, I really, really want this. And then when you get it, it's that much more satisfying and it means that much more to you.
Right. And like I said, I didn't have family members who were in medicine. So it's not like I had this, recommendation or these alumni that could help me. Like I did it all on my own. Right. And that feels really good in life when you do things like we all like to network. Right. And that helps us. But when you do it on your own, it feels that much more rewarding.
Yeah. So you went into medical school. You came out in internal medicine.
That was my residency.
For people that have no idea, so what are some of the things that an internal medicine doc does?
So basically, I'm a primary care physician. So when you get your insurance card, they say select a PCP. So your PCP is usually going to be a family medicine doctor or an internal medicine doctor. And then for females, an OBGYN, for kids, a pediatrician. And I really chose internal medicine because I liked everything in medicine. I liked cardiology and I liked pulmonary and endocrinology and, all the specialties I thought were interesting and wanted to learn more. And the beauty of being internal medicine as a primary care doctor, I get to treat all of those. Now, not to the degree that a subspecialist would, but I get to manage blood pressure and cholesterol and diabetes. And in primary care, we develop long-term relationships, right? As I start seeing patients about the age of 16, like basically once they're through puberty, I can start managing their care. Before that as pediatrician. But I will see them for their entire life. And so in a lot of times I will get the husband and wife and I'll get their adult children or I'll get their grandparents. So you really develop these long-term relationships. And so much of primary care is really listening to your patients, listening to their story, getting to know their story. And that's where, lifestyle medicine has been such a complement, not even a compliment. It is the core of my career now, is that we need to really, on a fundamental level, get to know our patients and know how to educate and empower them and believe in them. And so primary care allows me that opportunity to do that every day.
Yeah. So I want to know a couple things. Let me start by asking you this. So where do you work? What kind of hospital system are you working in right now?
So I am part of IHA, which is based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We are a multi-specialty group. We're very large. We have over 900 providers, and we run every single specialty you can think of, from primary care to surgeons to specialists. And we're located throughout Southeast Michigan. So I'm in an office with 4 other internists, and then we have our medical staff. So we've got satellite clinics all over the place. So I'm part of a large organization, which works for me because we've got really great leadership. We have recently launched our IHA Lifestyle Medicine Institute, which is super exciting. And within those 900 providers, 5 of us are certified in board certified in lifestyle medicine. So it's been a very exciting time for the growth in lifestyle medicine within our IHA, and we have strong support from leadership, which is wonderful.
Oh, that's really fantastic to hear. You're practicing medicine. You're seeing all these patients. I'm sure you were seeing all kinds of chronic Western disease, like you mentioned, hypertension, high cholesterol, probably prediabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
So at what point did you decide that, okay, what I'm working with right now in my toolbox, it's not really making a dent?
Yeah.
And what was your eye-opening moment where you're like, wow, I got to try something else?
So I think a part of me has felt like that since the get-go. So I'm a DO. So they're at Michigan State, they're an MD program and a DO program. We take all of our core sciences together, right? So, but then we're also trained in something called osteopathic manipulative OMT, which really looks at the body as interconnected, right? And so I always have thought of the body as a system, and that wellness was more than just pills. And so, I did integrative medicine training at the University of Michigan, which really opened my eyes to all of these complementary and alternative ways of healing. And I went from then to do a professional training in mind-body medicine with James Gordon's program, Center for Mind-Body Medicine, based out of Washington, D.C. Again, saying, wow, this is not what I was taught in medical school. And I was working in conventional medical practices, but I had this additional training and I'm going to say insight. And it's like, how do I have this deep belief system that there's something else out there. There's something that's keeping me healthy, and it's not pills, right? It's how the foods that I eat and how I move my body and how I sleep and how I manage stress and that I get outdoors every day. So, I'm plugging away in a conventional medical system and always feeling like an outlier per se, because I just approached wellness differently sometimes.
Yeah.
And so about 2018, my kids were heading off to college. I was becoming an empty nester. And for many years, it was balancing family life with professional life. And my kids were super involved in their sports. My daughter, like I said, she's a diver. My son was a very high level soccer player. So every weekend I was traveling around the country with them, right? Staying in Hampton hotels. So I really felt like, okay, I love being a doctor, but right now is not the time for me to be completely selfish in my career. So 2018 comes around and I'm like, I'm about to become an empty nester. Like, this is my time. So I went to the computer and I went to Google, because that's what we all do when we just, need professional insight, counseling, health coaching, and started combining words of things that I love. So it was wilderness medicine. It was wellness medicine. It was nature medicine. And then up popped lifestyle medicine. And this is about 2018. I'm like, well, what's lifestyle medicine? It brought me to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine homepage, and I read their pillars. And it felt like my Galileo moment of coming home, right? It was like, wait a minute, this is what I've been doing for the past 20 years of my career. But now I have a body of medicine that actually believes in this, and not only believes in it, but has the evidence and research to back it up. And for me, it was this aha coming home, like, this is my place. These are my people. Like, this is my true calling. And I've been preparing for it this whole time. Yeah. And now I'm here, and I, signed up for the board certification and the training and my modules. And I've been nonstop, with passion ever since then.
Yeah. So that's really fantastic. And the fact that where you're working now, IHA, you said you have the support of leadership, which is, fantastic. And then you said that there's 5 of you that have started this kind of lifestyle medicine institute. Is that fair to say?
Right. We're the ones who we've started a consult service. So just before I got on with you, I was doing a lifestyle medicine consult. So patients that have chronic diseases such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, coronary artery disease, obesity, other practitioners, and then I can self-refer to myself. I see a patient for the first visit. I'm like, come see me for a lifestyle medicine consult. And so we take a really deep dive into the 6 pillars and provide, with a little bit longer time with the patient. In primary care, we're so rushed, and it's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And as you know, lifestyle medicine, there's so much education and getting to know our patients that it takes longer than that. So our consults afford us more time with our patients to get to know them, to provide resources, to do the counseling that's really needed. So that's been really exciting, and to be on the forefront of this movement. I feel like, as you and your family, you guys have been in this world for much longer than many of us have. But to see the explosion that's been happening within lifestyle medicine is just so exciting. And I still feel like I'm on the cusp of the beginning of it. And because of that, everyone is just so friendly. All of the lifestyle medicine physicians, professionals that I have met have been so warm and, always want to help, and we're collegial because we feel like we found something and we want to share it with the world.
Yeah. Well, I think that, so, I've done a lot of different sports in my life, from tennis to swimming to mountain biking to triathlons. And I find that each sport kind of a different type of personality gravitates to different sports. And so I think that's the really cool thing about lifestyle medicine is it takes a special personality. And I think that somebody that's open-minded and willing to look outside the proverbial, box and go, wow, there's something really significant here that can get to the root causation of all these issues. And actually, frankly, it's surprising to me that so many people that go into medicine, just because of all the research, all the data and everything that's in abundance right now, that yes, you are part of the first wave. It is phenomenal. I don't want to take anything away from that. I'm just surprised that this isn't a tsunami, right? And everybody isn't like, yeah.
Right. And that's where we need to shift the training, right? So I didn't learn any of this in medical school. It's all about how do we manage diseases? It's not about preventing diseases. It's about once you have a disease process, this is how you'll go and treat it. And nutrition, throw that out the window, right? And the average amount of time that medical school students, when I graduated in 1998, and even today, it's like 17 hours. And that's medical school and residency. And guess what? That's not practical nutrition. Let's memorize protein deficiency in the form of Kachi-Walker that you'll never see in clinical practice unless you maybe work in Africa. Or let's talk about rickets. I've never been practicing for almost a quarter of a century. I've never seen that. Or memorize the Krebs cycle, this biochemistry pathway, because that's nutrition. Or let's learn about tube feedings in someone in the ICU. So I thought I knew a lot about nutrition because I'm an endurance athlete also, Ironmans and marathons and, long mountain bike races. So I thought, hey, I'm an athlete, I'm going to fuel myself. And of course, what my nutrition training, quite frankly, was Runner's World magazine and magazines and what I heard on the radio and read a news clip. So I was convinced that chocolate milk was the best way to refuel my body after I hard workout. And before every race, I had to have protein, but that had to be animal protein. But it was lean protein, right? It was chicken or pork, because that's the other white meat. So just a lot of these myths that I just believed. And it wasn't that I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And
well, that's a good point. I will say that we need to get upstream, right, to the medical schools, get this so it is a substantial part of the education, and then we'll have probably more of that tsunami.
Right. And what we're trying to do within our group, and like I said, we're very large, we're 900 providers across all the specialties. So we've actually launched a lifestyle medicine interest group. So once a month, and this is where COVID's been great, is that we're all virtual for these meetings. So we have a Zoom meeting once a month, and we invite lifestyle medicine practitioners from all over the world to speak on different topics. And usually we try to follow one of the pillars. And we invite all of our 900 providers and staff, we also include staff, to jump in for these meetings and disseminate this information, because a lot of physicians don't know this. A lot of our providers and our physician extenders, because I didn't know it either. And, when I studied for my lifestyle medicine board exam, quite frankly, that nutrition module just blew me away, and that between that and How Not to Die with Dr. Michael Greger, I was like, oh my God, the blinders are off and I can't go back.
Yeah. How hard is that lifestyle medicine, certification exam?
The exam actually, Rip, was really hard. Part of me, you have to go through modules to prepare yourself, and you have to do a certain amount of CME ahead of time, and 30 hours online and then 10 hours live, and read case studies and write up a case study yourself. So I did the preparation, and it was everything I was really interested in. So I wanted to do the preparation, and the exam itself kicked my butt. But it wasn't just me. We basically all walked out of there, and I called my husband, because we took the exam in Orlando, Florida in 2019, and I said, I am really confident I got 15 questions out of 200 right. And a part of me was like, well, this should be just like, I should just know these answers. And it was a tough exam. And I think they do that on purpose for this is no joke. And lifestyle medicine is just not intuitive or well, duh. Yeah. Don't eat McDonald's, and Cinnabons every day. But so it was good that, and we all passed, all 5 of us passed the exam. But it really was a tough exam. You've got to take, and when people ask me, I'm studying, what should I expect? I'm like, it's going to kick your butt.
Yeah. So a couple times you've mentioned the pillars of lifestyle medicine. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the pillars, but I'd love it if you could just give our listeners kind of
Sure.
an overview of what the pillars are?
Sure. So we have 6 official pillars of lifestyle medicine from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. The first is nutrition, and we do advocate for a plant strong, as you like to call it, plant slant way of eating, really advocating for whole food, plant-based. It's evidence-based as the best diet pattern to prevent and possibly reverse chronic diseases. So some of my patients, when I'm counseling with them, I don't like to use the term vegan because I think that comes across some political connotations and, it just is
A little polarizing.
a little polarizing. Yes. So if you say whole food, plant-based or I actually like plant strong because it just means moving in that direction, right?
Yeah.
So we do advocate for that. The second pillar is I like to call it movement rather than exercise. Again, exercise for some people seems like a chore and something they don't want to do. So when you reframe it as moving our bodies, and that can be taking a walk to go look at birds, that can be dancing with your kids in your living room, that can be roller skating, that can be hula hooping, that can be mountain biking, running, so whatever you like to do, we need to move our bodies.
I like movement as opposed to exercise, just like I like plant slant, plant strong as opposed to vegan. I think
absolutely. I totally agree. And then I always bring up the blue zones, right? And so when you look at the blue zones, movement is one of their 9 pillars. They're not going to, Planet Fitness, right? They're not going to the gym. They're gardening. They're walking to go see their friends and interacting. So it's movement. It's not a gym and lifting barbells. But if you like that, that's fine.
Yeah. No, they're using the planet for their fitness.
Right, exactly. And so third would be sleep. And, I think that for a long time, it's the busyness culture and I cram so much into a day, like sleep, that's just an afterthought, and that quote, like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, guess what? Research shows that's not good. That's not good. And so much sleep is just not like what you do at the end of your productive day. Sleep is what you do to restore and heal yourself. And we're getting more and more research just about the power and the importance of sleep, and that it has to be you have to be intentional about this. As much as you make plans for exercise or my meal plan, you need to make plans for sleeping. And, we could go further into, kind of those hygienes, but knowing that healing processes happen and the glymphatic system that we're learning about that cleanses our brain and gets rid of amyloid protein as we sleep. And, if you mention the word dementia, no one wants that. So if you say, if you get restorative sleep and the glymphatic is just, cleansing this, people are like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And so we really do advocate for at least 7 hours of restorative sleep per night.
Well, like I asked you before we popped on here officially, what time you got to sleep last night? And you said 10 and you woke up, was it 5 or 5:30? 5 o'clock.
Yeah. And again, it's working backwards. It's like my patients started at 8 a.m. this morning. I go for a run before work. So that means I start my run at this time. That means I go to sleep at this time. So it's just like when I pack my lunch the night before. It's very intentional that I do the processes, the night before I'm preparing myself for success the next day. And there's things that you don't really like I don't like packing my lunch the night before. It's a pain in my butt. To do it. But that ensures that all I have to do in the morning is grab my lunch bag that has healthy choices in it. So I make the healthy choice the easy choice. And then I'm not starving during my workday and then snacking on what someone's brought into my office, right? And it's the same thing about sleep. Like some days I'm like, oh man, I just want to watch another Netflix episode. We're watching Ted Lasso right now. I'm like, just one more episode. But I'm like, no, the Netflix will be there tomorrow, not going away. I'm going to bed. And I think that it's really being disciplined about that. And it's not like it's hard. It's not that, well, maybe it is hard. But we just are developing routines that we know will serve ourselves. And just being real with my patients, this isn't any easier for me. It's not any easier for me to do this than it is you. But you just have to know that this is going to benefit you.
Totally. And I'm listening to this episode and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I was a firefighter for 12 years. I was up, probably 24 hours a day for every 72 hours, up 24 hours for almost, 12 years, just the damage that did to my brain.
Well, right. And similar with residency. And then actually during COVID, because I've I've been practicing for 23 years. So I've had several different jobs. And one of them is I've been a hospitalist. So that means you're just taking care of acutely ill patients. Well, I got redeployed to the hospital during COVID for 8 months. And I'm 51. So working midnight shifts at 51 is way different than being a resident at age 22. So I typically worked I did everything from like the 10p to like 4-ish, or no, maybe it was like 6. I can't remember. It was a 10-hour shift, but some of them didn't end until 4 a.m. And oh my God, it was really difficult. And I did it because there was a need and a calling, and I, was going to step up into the front line to do it. But it really shook up so many of my habits, and how do you even eat when you're working all night, and your meal times and my exercise times.
Yep.
So I did it because I was asked to step up to the plate, and I'm glad I could contribute and be of service, but that's not good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we could talk about sleep for a long time. So what's the next?
All right. So
pillar?
Sorry. Yes. I was supposed to be brief about these pillars.
No, it was my fault. I'm diving in here too.
Yeah. No, great. Fourth would be avoidance of risky behaviors. So tobacco, most importantly, and I there's still lots of people that smoke. I mean, our rates of tobacco have definitely gone down, but the community that I practice in, there's still a large amount of smoking. And so really people know what causes lung cancer. So you're not educating them that this is bad for you. So it's just, again, finding ways to quit. And then, alcohol, again, that's, a tough one because it's socially acceptable. It's part of a lot of cultures, but we know it's a class 1 carcinogen. So educating about, for men, maximum 2 drinks, women just 1, and ideally none.
Right.
So, and then drug use. And, I know that marijuana is legal now. And so there's, people have different thoughts about that. But in general, we just like to avoid risky substances. The 5th pillar is the role of stress management. And we all have stress in our life. I mean, everyone does. Some people stress at any given time is more than others. But our brains and our cortisol levels, stress reacts. They don't know, our brains don't know the difference between a bear about to attack us and me in the middle of the night freaking out that my teenager is out on the road right now and is going to, get in a car accident. We still fire up all of those neurotransmitters and those stress signals. And so really learning ways to manage our stress. And, in my office, I will even go through deep breathing exercises with my patients. And so I'll teach them the square breathing method, where you're inhaling, you draw imaginary square, inhaling, going up, holding your breath, exhale, coming down, holding it. And I have them do it with me. And I teach them, I'm like, your breath is always with you. So if you are feeling stressed, you could be in your car, stuck at an accident. You could be, whatever life situation it is, your breath is always with you. So
I like the square. I like that square. Yeah. And how many seconds do you try and do each one? Is it
I don't even think about seconds. You're just drawing a square slowly. So you're not even counting seconds. You're just drawing an imaginary square, or you can even use your finger if you want. So it's inhale, going up, holding the breath. And then for others, it's in the 5-finger breathing. So you can just trace your fingers, so inhale, exhale, inhale. So just giving that technique as a tool that the patient can walk out of my office with. And that's a great way. And then, of course, because I did training in mind-body medicine and really learned about different mindfulness techniques, and meditation doesn't have to be sitting like a pretzel on a ground saying mantras, right? There's many forms of mindfulness, and John Kabat-Zinn has such wonderful books, explaining that. So I will point to his books, and just finding ways to manage our stress. And then the 6th pillar, the 6th official pillar, would be the role of social connection. And wow, has that been a challenge during our pandemic that we were forced to not connect. It was frowned on to connect. And I think we all felt that loss, right? And we did come up with Zoom, and that helped to, us keep in touch, but that's different than hugging someone. And, even in my office yesterday, I saw a patient I haven't seen forever. And, we're all masked and we have to be vaccinated to be in our clinics. So I went to give her a hug. I haven't given her a hug my medical assistant was like, I didn't think she was going to let go, Dr. Sundermann, because she was just hugging me and hugging me and hugging me. And I think that we've all just been craving that connection. And, I'm going to point back to the blue zones when Dan Buettner did all this research. And one of the Power 9 is that social connection and that need for your tribe. And that we all need our tribe, whether it's our family, whether it's friends, whether you belong in the special interest club, or you belong to a church or a place of worship. So we all need our people.
Yeah. No, thanks for that review of the pillars.
I want to add on, I have one seventh unofficial pillar that I feel very strongly about, and that is fresh air and exposure to nature every single day. Every single day, you need to get outside and get fresh air. And I live in Michigan. We get 4 seasons. So my quote to my patients is, there's no bad weather, just inappropriate clothing. That's so right. Bundle up. I run outside all year round. It doesn't matter because I've got the equipment. I got my hand warmers, I got my balaclava, I got my headlamp. Get outside, get fresh air. So that's my 7th pillar. Nice
addition.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Before I went on today, I was talking to a member of the PLANTSTRONG team. Yeah. She's about 48, 49 years old, and she knew I was going to be talking to you today. And she wanted me to ask you specifically about perimenopause and menopause. And as someone who's 51, what are your thoughts on that? As a male that, doesn't go through that, like what exactly, what do you feel like if you know? And what can women listeners that are out there, is there anything that by embracing this lifestyle, medicine type lifestyle, it will help them get through this?
Absolutely. And you are exactly right. I'm 51. I'm in the thick of it. And all of my close friends, we're all going through this together. And I think for a long time, perimenopause and menopause, we didn't talk about it much, And so it's like, you're going to stop having periods. Maybe you'll sweat, you'll have a little hot flash. And it is so much more than that. I mean, I have patients coming to see me with symptoms ranging from heart palpitations to, of course, the night sweats, body aches, weight gain, mood fluctuations. And for a long time, people are like, you're just depressed because whatever, your kids went off to college, or you're gaining weight because you're just not as active. And really with these hormonal changes, the symptomology is vast. And it can be really frustrating. And even though it's a normal thing we all go to, like as females, we all get our period. As females, we're all going to stop having periods. So it's important to legitimize that these are real symptoms you're having and not poo-poo it off like, oh, it's just in your head. Like these are real, and it's scary and it's frustrating. And, a lot of times you're not expecting this to happen. So I really feel that the pillars that we have maybe won't prevent all of the changes from happening. I mean, we're not going to change hormone levels, but the symptoms can really help. And a whole food plant-based diet is huge in that, with our estrogen levels. Neil Barnard and his PCRM group just came out with their WAVE study, the Women's Alleviation of Vasomotor Symptoms, which was awesome results. So they looked at hot flashes basically, and they asked their experimental group to go on a low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet and 1/2 cup of soybeans. They give them an Instapot, 1/2 cup of soybeans every day. And at the end of their study, which I think was
for how long was it for?
I think it was 12 weeks. They had an 84% reduction in hot flashes, which, I mean, that is a huge number, huge. And for women who have debilitating hot flashes, it's not like, oh, I'm just like feeling a little warm. It will wake people up at night and drench, and you have to change your clothes and your sheets. You're at like work and all of a sudden you're like, embarrassed because you're just sweating. So 84% reduction. And really, we're learning even more about, we're familiar with the gut microbiome, and that's a whole other conversation. But we're also learning about the estrobolome, which basically is the fiber and the health of the gut microbiome is also so key in hormonal regulation. But we can really stabilize those fluctuation of levels by keeping our gut microbiome healthy. And that's, as we know, the only way to fuel and nurture our gut microbiome is fiber in the diet. And that's fiber is only found in fruits, vegetable, beans, legumes, and whole grains. So I think that really getting my patients to adopt a whole food, plant-based diet, high in soybeans, you could do tofu, tempeh, edamame is really key with that.
And when you say high in soy, what's your definition of high? Is it a half a cup a day, a cup a day?
Well, his experiment was half a cup a day. So I think at minimum, you want to do half a cup a day. And of course, there's always I had a patient in yesterday, menopausal, but a history of breast cancer as well. And so I was talking to her about, she has debilitating hot flashes and doesn't want to go on hormones. So I told her about the study and she said, oh, Dr. Sundermann, remember I have a history of breast cancer. And I said, oh, that is a myth. And she said, my oncologist told me I can never have soy. So it's a pervasive myth out there, right? And what we know is with soy is there's a 30% reduction in breast cancer. And for those women like my patient who had breast cancer, it's a 30% reduction in recurrence. So, and then for men, it's 30% reduction in prostate. So emphasizing soy in the diet and that soy is beneficial and it's healthy for our bones. Because that's another thing with menopause is our bones are getting weaker. Like we're not building any more bone. We're just trying to prevent loss of bone. And the receptors that the soy will target on the bones can actually help with bone preservation.
And I think it's important for the listeners, and tell me if you agree with this, that we're fans of soy, but we're not fans of isolated soy proteins or concentrate. That's
right. Yes. So we want the organic soy in the whole food form, right? Yeah. So I absolutely thank you for clarifying that. That's absolutely right. Yeah. So that's nutrition pillar. I'm just going to keep advocating for, fiber in the diet, pushing that fiber up to 40, 50 grams per day. And, what I've told patients is that everyone is still freaking out about protein, right? Because protein has glorified health food. And if you slap it on a label, we think it's healthy. I joke like Pop-Tarts could have contains protein on them and people think that's healthy. It's got protein in it, right? So I said, in a quarter of a century of practicing, I have yet to see a protein deficient patient, but about 95% of my patients are fiber deficient. So let's talk about the fiber. That should be the glorified, nutrient, not a macronutrient, but a nutrient in our diet. So I think that's really important with perimenopause and menopause is getting that shift to a plant-strong way of eating. I think daily movement is really important because not only exercise, but what all the other good vibes we get with it. We know it's good for our mental state. It's from, a lot of people, including myself, it's an active meditation. A lot of times with my exercise in the mornings before work, it's just me and my husband. But on the weekends, it's with my tribe, right? So it becomes this social dynamic too, and a community that I've been able to connect with. So I think that's important is to keep moving our bodies. We talked about the emphasis of sleep and that, sleep with, helping us to not age and cleansing our brains of all those toxins. Stress is managing our stress. And we know that Elizabeth Blackburn did her Nobel Prize with telomeres that shorten, and telomeres are the end of chromosomes. And with chronic stress, that actually will shorten the telomere, which, is about like longevity. So it's not good for us to be stressed and worried all the time. So really, actively working to manage our stress in our life. So those are some actionable items, take-home items that I work with my perimenopause and menopause. And I think it helps to say, like, I'm going through this too, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And expectations, like at running, right? I'm not going to be as fast as I used to be. Like the body takes a while to warm up. I call it like I got to lube up the joints, get things oiled again, and speed workout, that will totally trash my high hamstring. So it's like adjusting expectations. I think there's a season for everything. And my season right now is truly this passion for lifestyle medicine. I'm working my butt off and I love it. And, my goal is lifestyle medicine. I want to be doing this full time. I want to connect on a broader, audience and just bring this. And so that's my focus now. And I will always love to run and mountain bike and ski and hike and all those things. But right now I have the opportunity to really impact lives.
Well, beautiful. And I want to thank you for coming on board Plant Strong podcast. I want to thank you for practicing what you preach. And man, you're right. The season is upon us. for when it comes to lifestyle medicine. And I think that there's a lot of blue skies ahead.
Absolutely. And thank you to your whole family for being so instrumental in this movement. I'm in awe of what you guys have been able to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, our pleasure. And it's going to take all of us working collectively to get where we want to be here. Let's do the sign off. Ready? Peace.
Okay. Peace.
Turn it around. Engine 2.
2.
The Plant Strong.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Rip. This has been great.
I think one of the best lessons from this episode is to keep learning and expanding your knowledge about whatever it is that interests you. Never stop learning and growing. Dr. Sundermann sought a different approach to helping patients and now gets to live her dream each and every day. What interests you? How can you use your skills to help not only yourself, but others? And how can you employ some of these pillars of lifestyle medicine to increase your own health, well-being, and overall satisfaction? Most importantly, how can we at PLANTSTRONG help you? That's why we're here. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, keep it PLANTSTRONG. The PLANTSTRONG podcast team includes Carrie Barrett, Lori Kordowich, Amy Mackey, Patrick Gavin, and Wade Clark. This season is dedicated to all of those courageous truth seekers who weren't afraid to look through the lens with clear vision and hold firm to a higher truth. Most notably, my parents, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. and Ann Cryle Esselstyn. Thanks for listening.